Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Today is the second day of our Unit 1 Gaseous Exchange. Today we will try to cover the gaseous exchange in plants and animals in a little more detail. We know that in plants there is this opening on the leaves, which is called stomata. Stomata is the plural and the singular form is stoma. And you can see the diagram here where the stoma is shown. This is stoma in two different forms, and let's see when does it become like this. And stoma is made up of cell, plant cell, and it has a nucleus, chloroplasts, vacuole, guard cells, and the cell wall. This is actually, there are two guard cells that form stoma. So a guard cell has a nucleus, chloroplasts, vacuole, and cell wall. So this is a structure of stoma, and the plural is stomata. And where is it situated? You can see the internal structure of the leaf. We have the upper epidermis, then we have the palisade, which is full of chlorophyll, spongy mesophyll below it, and then the lower epidermis. And you can see the stoma has been marked here, and it gives out oxygen and water vapors, and carbon dioxide goes in. And over here, this part is the vein of the leaf. So this is the internal structure of the leaf, and this is where stoma is present. So upper epidermis, then palisade cells, which are full of chlorophyll, spongy mesophyll, and then lower epidermis, and then you can see stoma. And the gaseous exchange has been shown with these blue arrows and the pink arrows. Now, what is stomata? Stomata is a microscopic opening, so present in the epidermis of the leaf, and you have already seen the structure. It is a slit-like opening formed by two special cells called guard cells, and you can see in the diagram, chlorophyll-containing cells with thicker inner while thinner and elastic outer wall. So the outer wall is elastic and thinner, whereas the inner wall is thick. The opening and closing of stomata depends upon turgidity of the guard cells. During daytime, as a result of ongoing process of photosynthesis, the accumulation of photosynthesis solutes increase the turgidity of the guard cells. Thus, stomata are opened, and the process of taking in carbon dioxide, giving out oxygen begins until it becomes dark. So in the daytime, when photosynthesis is taking place, the guard cells are turgid. Now, what does this mean? What is the meaning of turgidity? It means swollen. So they are swollen when photosynthetic solutes are present, when they gather in the leaf. So because of their presence, the guard cells become swollen, and you can see that they are turgid over here. And when they become turgid and swollen, the opening is bigger, you can see, and over here there is no opening, right? So now over here the guard cells are joined together, so stomata is closed, and over here it is open. Gaseous exchange in animals. Now, how does gaseous exchange take place in animals? The respiratory medium for aquatic animals is water, whereas for terrestrial animals is air. Terrestrial means animals of the land, and aquatic means animals of the water. The amount of molecular oxygen present in air is about 21%, while in water it is about 5%. In order to exchange gases, animals have a respiratory surface. Now, this surface is different in different animals. In unicellular organisms like protozoa, the plasma membrane serves as the respiratory surface. So all the gaseous exchange takes place through that plasma membrane. In multicellular animals, their body surface or some internal surface could serve as the respiratory surface. So in some animals, they respire through their skin, but in human beings and other mammals, they have the respiratory surface inside their lungs. So this is how gaseous exchange takes place. So unicellular organisms means organisms of one cell. Multicellular organisms are organisms that have multiple cells, a lot of cells. Now, in order for animals to exchange gases, the respiratory surface should have certain properties, and if they don't have these properties, the exchange of gases would not be possible. So Allah has created them like this. So they should be thin, they should be wet, permeable. Permeable means that they should allow the gaseous exchange through them. And their surface area should be large in relation to the volume of the body. If the surface area is not large, then the gas that the body needs would not be sufficient for the body. So the oxygen that is needed for respiration would be in a small quantity and it will not be enough for the body. So therefore, the surface area of the respiratory surface should be large. So the respiratory surface through which the gaseous exchange is taking place should be thin, wet, permeable, and it should be large. Proportion of respiratory surface, it must be sufficiently large to exchange gases for all the cells of the body. So there are millions of cells in the body, and the respiration takes in oxygen for oxidation reaction in every cell. So therefore, the surface area to absorb oxygen has to be large. For example, the total surface area of the respiratory surface in human is about 20 times to the size of the body. So that is how Allah has beautifully fitted that surface inside our body, and we are in just 2 lungs, and we are able to exchange the gases. Just because the internal structure and the surface area is such that it has thin walls, it remains wet, it is permeable, that gases can pass through it, and the surface area is large. Now, how does this gaseous exchange take place? An increased surface for gaseous exchange allows a faster rate of diffusion to supply oxygen and remove carbon dioxide. Now, what is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of gas from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. And as you can see over here in the diagram, this is the passage of air, and this is called the bronchiole when it goes inside, and then there are these sacs, these small sacs which are called alveoli, and they are covered totally with blood vessels. So these blood vessels have thin walls, plus these alveoli have very thin walls, and that is why the gaseous exchange can take place. So the walls are thin, the surface area is large because the sac, the lungs, they are not empty sacs, they are not one whole sac, but they have several small air sacs due to which the surface area has increased. So they remain moist and they have a large network of capillaries around it. Lungs are not empty bags. Instead, they are full of air sacs called alveoli. This is where oxygen diffuses into the blood and the carbon dioxide diffuses out. So diffusion takes place, and that is the medium of exchange, moving a gas from an area of high concentration to low concentration. So when we take in air, the concentration of oxygen inside these sacs becomes high, and from this area of high concentration it goes into the blood vessels, and when the blood vessels, the veins, bring carbon dioxide. The concentration of carbon dioxide is more in the blood vessels, and in the air sacs, the concentration of carbon dioxide is minimal. So from an area of high concentration, that is the blood vessels, the carbon dioxide enters into the air sacs, that is the alveoli. Over here in this diagram, you can see it clearly. You can see that oxygen is in a high concentration inside the alveoli, and through the thin wall of the alveoli and one cell's wall of red blood cells, this exchange can easily take place. So the membrane is thin, permeable, it is moist, and this is how the gaseous exchange takes place. In this diagram also, you can see that the red blood cells have come from the body and they have brought carbon dioxide. The concentration of carbon dioxide is more in this blood vessel, and the wall is very thin and moist. Therefore, this exchange can easily take place. From the area of high concentration, carbon dioxide move to the area of low concentration inside the air sac. Similarly, the concentration of oxygen inside the air sac, that is the alveoli, is high, and therefore it moves through the semi-permeable permeable membrane, and oxygen is taken in by the red blood cells and by the red blood cells, hemoglobin, and they take it to the different parts of the body. So this is how the gases exchange in animals. That's all for today. Jazakallah. We will meet again with a new video.